Hi, welcome back to DIY Newbie to Pro. Our latest adventure is dealing with our hot water heater. About 1 year ago, we ended up having to replace our hot water heater because if you were in our bedroom, you heard this hissing noise. And what was happening was on the top of the tank, there got a small pinhole, and so the steam and the water vapor was escaping from there, making the noise. But about 2 weeks ago, I started hearing that noise all over again, and I was kind of discouraged because it was a fairly new heater and I didn't think it should have failed by that point in time. So what I did is I took the styrofoam insulation off the heater. There's 2 bands that I cut, and I lifted off and took the drain line out of the sink above us, and I looked to see if there was any leaks, and there wasn't. So the hissing was coming from something else. So what I figured is that I had a lot of lime buildup on the inside. So I went out and I drained it, and I got about 1.5 cups of lime sediment out of the hot water heater. And then I sealed it back up and tried it again, and it was still hissing. So I think my element has a buildup of lime on it, and so I'm going to replace that. And that's what this video is about, is how to replace a heating element on my hot water heater. This is the replacement element I'm going to put in, and it's right behind this black box inside. So the first step we have to do is to drain the hot water heater. So we're going to go outside, and I'm going to drain that and show you how you do it. But before you do that, on the inside, you have to turn off the power on your main switch, which I already did on the control panel. And my hot water heater is controlled by, it's just plugged in right here on the electric side. And the gas side is already shut off because I flipped that switch off. So right now there's no current going to it, because you don't want to have your heater element exposed to no water. It will burn out very rapidly by doing that. So we'll go outside and I'll show you the easy method of how to drain your hot water heater. Inside, you have to turn your water supply off, which I just did, and I have my bypass valve cut off, so the water is not going to go in through the back door on that. So there's no water flowing. I can release the pressure on the hot water side by opening the sink valve, and that is now released, so there's no pressure, but yeah, I still have cold, so we can use the toilet facilities and so forth while we're doing the repair. So we'll go outside and drain and show you how to drain it. This is my access panel to get to the hot water heater, so we just move the flap at the top to open it up, and it comes on down. And the first thing I'm going to do is open my pressure relief valve, which is right here, so that I'll get air to go in to the hot water heater as I'm draining it, so the water will come out. The next step I'm going to do is I use a pan, and I'll place it underneath here so that the water will run out and come out on the ground instead of inside the heater and going down everything else. So I just use a little baking sheet that I have out of the kitchen. So a cookie sheet or anything like that will work. And I'm using a socket wrench because it's easier. And my plastic fitting on here is a 15/16 inch fitting. So we're just going to take out the drain plug, which is very simple to do. And we don't want to lose that. And the rest I can pull out by hand. And this is the water. It's all going to come out of the hot water heater then. Oops, my valve opened up. See the difference when you release that pressure and you let the air come out? It comes out fairly rapidly. And it should be fairly clean without too much sediment in it this time, because I did that last week because I thought that's what the problem was. And I did get about 1.5 cups out. But the pan definitely makes it easier, especially when you want to see if anything's coming out. It'll stop it inside there and you can look. And the water is, I turned the heater off a little while ago, so it is warm. It's not, you won't get burnt by it by any means. And I have a 10-gallon heater, so I have to let 10 gallons of water come out, which will take a couple minutes. Now we're getting close to the end of the water running out. The stream is definitely decreased, and I have very, very little sediment in my pan, so when I flushed it last week, I did a pretty good job at it. And once it's all done, we'll go inside and we can take out the element and replace it. And I'll show you how to do that. Keep in mind when you're putting your plug in, you want to put Teflon tape on it. The first thing I have to do is take off this plastic cover, because that's where the element is. And there's a bolt on, a nut on top, which comes off very simply. And there's a nut underneath it also. And then that'll come off, and that will expose the heating element. So we'll take that one off, and the bottom one you just got to reach underneath there somehow to get to it. What we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the 2 contacts on the heating element to show you off of this one. These 2 screws right here, so it's a Phillips head screwdriver, and that's your power in and neutral line. And so that we can unscrew the whole unit then and just slide that one out, and then we'll place the new one in. So that's the next step, is to get your Phillips head and undo this screw and that screw. Keep in mind the unit is shut off because I already unplugged it, so there's no current going to that, so you won't get any shocks. Because it's kind of tight in there to get to it, I have a 90-degree Phillips screwdriver. So we'll just take that, and it's a little awkward, keep that in mind. And we're going to loosen it up so we can get the contacts off. Okay, I got that one off. Now get that one off. So now we've disconnected our contacts, so now there's no electrical source going to the unit. So now we'll just take our channel locks, and keep in mind on the outside there's a bolt, and so we're going to lock onto that, and we're going to untwist it so it'll be counterclockwise. We'll be loosening it up. So we're going to take our wrench and get into here and carefully get it on the right one, and we're just going to try to break it loose so we can spin it out by hand. Keep in mind all the water is out of the unit. And I'm hoping that the unit will be covered in lime, and that's why it was making the noise that it was making. Okay, I loosened it up so I can get it out the rest of the way by hand. There is a gasket on here, and when you buy your unit, make sure it comes with a new gasket.
Oh yeah, it's definitely full of lime.
Yep, it is yucky. The element is limed up, so it is a good idea to replace it. I'll clean it and save it and put it in a de-limer solution, and then have it for the next time when I have to do this all over again. I'll just switch the elements. I had to move it over to their side to get more room to pull it out, and there we go. So yes, you can see the lime buildup on that, and there was a lot that came out on the side too. So as I said, I'm going to clean that. It'll definitely affect the efficiency of it, and hopefully that'll make the hissing noise stop. So we're going to put the new one in after I clean out some of this garbage in here. I'm putting my finger inside, and there's a lot of lime in the bottom yet too. As you can see, there's a lot of debris and stuff inside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the new element in, and then I'll put the plug that's out. I won't reinstall it yet, and I'll run water through it so it flushes it out, and hopefully we'll get some of that garbage out of the bottom of the heater. So the next task is, your gasket is on here. It's right here. The old unit did not have any Teflon tape or sealant, so I'm not going to put it on the new unit. And we'll just put that on in the same way we took the old one out, and we'll replace it that way. You just have to line up the thread so you're not cross-threading it, which seems to be the biggest challenge at the present moment. There we go. Then we'll take our pliers and we'll tighten that down. Get it snug. Okay, that is snug. And then we'll put our electrical wires back on. Okay, now it's getting kind of snug. I'm going to tighten this one up. So that one's tight. And we'll do the other contact, the other lead into the terminal. And we'll tighten that one down. And then the last thing to do is go flush the system. Then put our cover back on after we know that there's no leaks. And we'll be good. I'm outside. We're going to turn on the spigot on the inside to the hot water heater and get some of this junk out of it. Go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so we're going to flush out all the stuff, and you can see there are some particulates coming out in this area here, so it is effective. It is cleaning it out. And then when I'm all done, rinsed out, and I don't see any more product or any more lime scale coming out, I'll turn it off and put the plug in, and then we'll fill the hot water heater up and check for leaks. I just picked this up off the ground. It just shows you what some of that buildup can do. That's all lime scale that's built up on the inside of the heater, which is a good reason why you want to flush your hot water heater out at least once a year to prevent buildup, and which affects your efficiency and eventually will damage the hot water heater. So what I'm going to do next is, once it stops running out, I'm going to rewrap my plug in Teflon tape and reinstall it, and then recharge the hot water heater with water, fill it up, and then check for leaks. And if I don't have any leaks, we'll then turn it on. And we're going to take our Teflon tape and rewrap this. Just remember, when you're wrapping it, the best way to do it is you're going to wrap it the way you're spinning it in. So you're going to spin it clockwise and you're going to wrap it clockwise. That way the tape will go into the threads when you're putting it into the female section instead of just lumping off and not going in. So remember to always spin it the way you're putting the rethreading it in. Okay, our water has stopped for the most part. Once again, you can see some of the calcium build up on there. When I get it out of the water, it's all the junk that was in the bottom of the heater. There was a fair amount, and that I just did last week. We'll put our plug in. Just do the reverse of how we took it out. Put it in hand tight and use the wrench. Keep in mind you don't want to over tighten it, because by doing that you will ruin the nylon threads on it. So you just want to go till it's snug. It doesn't have to be real tight, just snug. And we can check for leaks afterwards. Okay, that's snug. And so we'll go inside, charge the heater up with water, get it under pressure, and then we'll see if it's leaking anywhere. I'm going to open the faucet, so I'm going to close this so I don't need the air breather in from here. We'll use the faucet for that. I'm going to open the hot water side to let the air out of the tank as I fill it. So I'm going to fill it by opening my valve. And then once I have water coming into here, out of the sink, we'll shut the valve because it will be filled with water, and we'll check for leaks. Okay, now that I have a good stream of water coming through, I know that my hot water heater is full and the air is out of it. It's not bubbling or sending gurgles out. So we'll shut that down, and we'll be under full pressure now. We'll check our area around here while the electricity is still off for any moisture. I don't feel any. And I'll go outside and check the outside plug for any moisture. Make sure that's not dripping. And then we'll put the cover back on. I checked my plug outside and closed the outer hatch. We know that there is no leaks out there. We're going to take our cover to the electrical contacts, and we're going to put that back on top. The bottom clips in, and then we'll tighten that bolt by hand. And then the top gets a nut on it, which I put on top here. And we put the nut on. So we're just doing the reverse of how we took it apart. And we'll tighten that bottom one. That's snug and that's snug. Next step is to plug this in. And then I have to go to, even though it's plugged in, it's not charged yet because I haven't activated the switch on the power management system that'll tell it to get heat. So I'll go do that real quick, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I just turned on the power management switch to the hot water, and I heard it click, so I know that the relay activated it. And we'll give it about 15-20 minutes, and we'll test for the hot water. We're back again after the hot water heater got warm. The water is hot, so that's good. The heating element's doing its job, and it's not making the hissing noise anymore. So this lime buildup was preventing the heater from doing its job correctly, and causing excessive energy and making that odd noise. So we fixed that, and we'll be good. I'm going to clean this one up in some lime scale remover and just store it right in here so that I have it for next time. And then when I'm ready to switch it, I'll have one to put back in that I can use, because this element's only 1.5 years old. So I might as well keep using it till it fails. And we'll just keep switching them out every year, and we'll be good to go. Well, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed what you saw, please hit the subscribe button down below. And the reason why you should subscribe is because you never know what we're going to get into. Every day is an adventure in the full-time RVing world, and we like to share our knowledge and our experiences with you to make your RVing more enjoyable and easier. So we'll see you next time. Bye.